Hey, Brad, hope all is well with you. As you've had a chance to digest game one and look ahead to game two, what do you see as being some of the keys for you guys going into this second contest?
Same stuff, Chris, we said yesterday. I mean, I think obviously we got to score the ball better and, got to attack their switching better.
John Corrales.
Brad, now that you've had, a couple days and preparing for one guy and you played in front of a big crowd now, are you at least getting a chance to enjoy some of the normalcy back in your basketball life?
Yeah, it was really interesting. Like, John, as coaches, we're just allowed to, just the head coaches take the mask off, right? And then you look up in the crowd behind us and everybody's got their mask off. And all of a sudden it's just all flipped. I think that obviously you take great, there is a sense of take a step back and think about what the last year has been like. And obviously anything that has been unique in sports is nothing compared to the real world adversity that people who have dealt with COVID and lost loved ones with COVID have felt. And so I certainly don't want to make it sound like that, but it is nice to see fans in the stands. It's nice to, be back in that environment. I think we would all prefer, even on the road, playing in front of 18,000 or 15,000 or whatever, turn on the TV and see Madison Square Garden rocking yesterday, or see some of these other places going the way they were. I mean, that's what you want to see as part of what makes sports fun.
Tim Bontemps.
I was just curious, Brad, kind of along those lines. This year's been so compressed, even more than usual, and now we're kind of in a normal playoff setting in this first round. Is it weird to have a couple of days of practice like this in a row to get ready for a game?
Yeah, and really we've had, Tim, I mean, think about it, obviously we played in the play-in game, but we had 3 days after that before our first one, 2 days here. We had several guys that missed at least one, some two of the last 2 games of the year. So we've had some good practices. I thought the Friday before the end of the regular season was our best practice of the year. I thought the Monday after that was better than that one. And we continued that trend, which is what you want when you're a part of a team. You want to have your best moments and be, at your best engagement level when your best is needed. And our guys have certainly been very engaged. Now, we got to be able to take that to the court tomorrow. I thought we did a really good job defensively doing that. But they will adjust and present all kinds of unique new challenges. That's just part of the playoffs. And we've got to be a lot better on the other end.
Jared Greenberg.
Hey, Coach. Just going back to what you were saying about coaching with fans in the stands, something that going back to the bubble, we talked about how communication would work with players, in an empty arena versus now. How much has that evolved for you since going back to the bubble throughout the season with empty arenas or half full arenas and now with an arena with 80% capacity? How does that work with you communicating with your coaches and players?
Well, I think it's easier for whatever reason. Maybe it's just a better comfort level, but I think it's easier to communicate with a lot of people in there and no mask than it is with a mask on. That's why as much as we all didn't want to, that's why you saw it pull it down to our chins and, really not have it on all the time. I think it was just tough to communicate at times. I've said all along, from an offensive standpoint, most teams use hand signals, use verbal cues. And man, when you get into those very best environments and you combine a hand signal and a verbal cue, then guys by the end of the year are reading lips. And so I think that, that is a part of communicating from the bench to the court. But I think that, clearly different than the bubble where no one's there and, how loud you needed to be. Here it is, it's helpful to not have the mask from the standpoint of communicating what needs to be communicated in these arenas.
Gary Washburn.
Hey, Brad, did watching game one and looking at the video give you more tangible means and route to defeating these guys? I mean, obviously before game one, you can come up with all the theories and this is what we need to do and all that. And then you see it in person, how Harden does this or Durant does this. Did game one give you more of a tangible kind of blueprint of how you can be successful?
First of all, I felt really good about how we needed to play. And again, I thought we did that, especially on the defensive end, but we weren't as good offensively. And I think we knew what we needed to do, but we have had 2 more days to really hone in on that. But we also have to, Gary, the other team's doing that too. And, anytime you're in a playoff series, I think it's really important that you are, anticipating what they might do different and what they're thinking about, because, I think that, obviously, I thought we played good defense, but, I think the whole time, I think we have to score more than 110 to beat these guys on a normal night. And I think that that's where, again, we have to be way better offensively, and we have to bring that same energy level, that same competitiveness, but be alert to, different things they're doing, different spacing they do, different screening angles they do. And they're really good at that. I give them a lot of credit. Not a lot of people talk about their weak side movement when they're isolated, or some of the flares and some of the cutting that leads to rebounding. And, those are things that we have to clean up some from game one, but also things that we have to anticipate more of in game 2.
Adam Himmelsbach.
Hey, Brad, how's Jalen doing and feeling? And are there any things you guys are kind of doing to keep him engaged and involved in what you guys are doing now?
I mean, he's around, so that's good, and he's here. And, I think he's going through all of his whatever he can do, which is pretty minimal, but he's really engaged with the group and spending a lot of time with everybody and everything else. He's like that. He wants to be around.
Final question for Coach Brian Robb.
Hey, Brad, 2 questions for you. First, how did Rob just come out of, the heavy minutes in game 1 there with his toe? And additionally, with you guys, being super locked in and scrambling defensively, they hurt you guys a little bit on the offensive glass. How challenging is that for you guys again when you're with the shooters they have and having to do so much scrambling to, be able to, locate bodies when they're crashing hard on that front?
Yeah, I mean, Rob's doing pretty well. We're trying to keep him off his feet as much as possible on these days away from the game. But he was, dressed and went through the walkthrough portion of practice. But should be ready to go tomorrow. It's kind of what I was just talking about, Brian. I think everybody, just like everybody does on TV, right? They watch those guys go one-on-one, and when you are there and you realize you're isolated against a great player, you obviously need help around. Well, they do a good job flaring the help. They do a good job cutting the help. You even go to D'Antoni's Houston team last year when they were, really spread out, and you'd overhelp on Harden, and they'd slash Westbrook, and he'd get tip-ins and tip dunks and things like that because of the opportunity just from the overhelp on the great player. And so the ability to shoot the ball, the need to fly out at shooters after that overhelp, it's going to open up some opportunities and for rebounding, and that's why you got to fly back into play. And it's easier said than done. I mean, we can all point to things on film, but that happens fast. And so everybody's got to fight. Everybody's got to stay engaged in the play. All 5 guys have to be alert to the ball, what's going on around them, and to rebounding. And those are the challenges of guarding a really good offensive team.
All right, I'll wrap it up right there. Thanks, Coach.